All right. Hello and welcome to an all new intimate episode of Press YYZ.
Oh
We're
yeah.
the oh yeah. We're the
Oh
only
yeah.
Canadian gaming podcast you can catch live on Twitch every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. But here's the thing, not tonight. In solidarity with the communities that are out there that are currently being targeted by hate raids, like a lot of other people in the Twitch community, we've decided to take the day off today to tell Twitch that they need to do better. Um, this is
Absolutely.
unacceptable. It's been going on for a while. AJ, sorry. Why don't you, like, obviously you are, I was going to say, what's your opinion? But your opinion is this isn't good.
Yeah.
But
No, it's a shitty thing that's happening, and we face it time and time again. Like, the only way to get any sort of positive action from any sort of especially multi-billion-dollar profiting company is to hit them where it hurts, and that's their wallet. Now, are they really going to feel it today? Who can say? Uh, it's it sort of is what it is. I'm sure there's still hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people trying to live stream on Twitch, trying to seize the moment. Like, oh well,
mhm.
the big guys are stepping out. We're gonna try and grab some of those views while we can, and maybe, but like, we're nobody on Twitch, right? Like, literally nobody. I think our only subscribers are us currently, right? So it's like
Mhm.
that's great and all. Like, it is what it is. It's just we're still better off standing with those affected by all this negativity and all this absolute garbage out there than we are uh, just contributing to any of it. So yeah, this are every if we have an election coming up here,
Mhm.
which we could talk a little bit about that, you and I, today, because I had some fun last Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, the we we have an election coming up, and a lot of people feel like the reason people don't vote a lot is because they feel like their vote isn't worth anything, right?
Mhm.
And so in some ways this is us voting to say, hey, Twitch, do better, because Twitch needs to do better.
Yeah,
And
this has been going on for too long. The problems were raised a month ago,
yeah,
and Twitch said they were going to try, and I don't think we've seen any trying. In fact, it's just gotten worse.
if if the whole OnlyFans debacle that happened in the last 2 weeks as well, where they were going to change their policy to
Yes.
completely negatively affect the one thing that made them popular and made them all that money. It's like, what 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 are you doing, right? And they immediately, like a week later, flip-flopped back to it, right? Back to, like, oh, we're going to find another way. We'll figure it out. Like, the only way to get anything done with regards to this stuff is to hit them where it hurts, and that's their wallet. So
Yeah. No, I agree
hopefully
with that.
hopefully they're listening.
Yeah, that's all we can hope is that they listen and that they do better. Nobody deserves to be harassed, no matter your color, skin, your gender, sexual preference. None of that deserves harassment, no matter what. Like, nobody deserves harassment. I think that's the easiest way to put it, and there should be ways to stop that.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, and at least if you're working on it, keep us in the loop and let us know what you're working on. Just don't go silent about it. Say you'll do
Yeah,
something and go
say
silent.
say something, because every voice added into the mix matters. Every vote, even if you scratch your ballot because you don't trust
Mhm.
any of the candidates, they that's visible. That is a statistic they can use to say,
Yeah.
hey, I don't trust any of these guys, right?
Well, yeah, and that's definitely been something with politics. Like when I hear people and they're like, "I don't trust anybody," I'm like, "Well, go vote, but scratch your ballot." That's recorded as like you don't feel like you're worth
It's a
voting for
vote of
somebody.
no
Just don't show
confidence
up.
is what it is. You have no confidence in any party or any candidate. Go out and do the thing, regardless of how small your voice is.
Yep. No, completely fair.
So, yeah.
So, all right. Well, to finish the intro, because we had our Twitch aside there, this will go live on podcast services tonight, and it will be live on YouTube tomorrow. So, you guys know my name. I'm Nathan. We've already discussed this, and I'm joined by AJ today for this very intimate affair.
Yeah,
this very special episode.
Just the two of us.
Is that the song in It Takes Two? They should put that song in It Takes Two.
I didn't play It Takes Two, but that would have been smart if it's not in there, that they missed out.
Yeah, I agree. I'll play It Takes Two when it comes to Game Pass.
Oh, listen to you, the PlayStation guy, saying he wants to play it on Game Pass. What is this?
Yeah, I've been putting more time into my Xbox recently, but that's because all I've been doing is playing Splitgate, and I downloaded it on my Xbox. So, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. So just to give you guys a little bit of episode structure for today, it's just AJ and I. We're just chilling. There is no episode structure, so we're just going to kind of vamp and see where we go. I don't expect this to be an overly long episode of Press YYZ. I hope you're not too disappointed. But we just want to make sure we talk. I've been off for 2 weeks. I had some mental health struggles about 2 weeks ago, and then last week I was at the cottage, and we can talk about that and how I almost lost a finger.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. So, as well as didn't get eaten by bears.
Oh, good.
So,
did you see one though?
No. We saw a beaver though. We'll talk about the beaver.
Oh, beavers are arguably more dangerous sometimes.
Yes. So, okay. So we've done all the housekeeping. Oh no, housekeeping. I haven't written anything here. I will be streaming on Twitch tomorrow. I think I'm going to be streaming Splitgate. We'll see how that plays through the capture card, and if I'm seeing any major latency with it or not.
Okay.
That being said, I might, because I just found this out, Surgeon Simulator 2 is out tomorrow. Stream a little bit of Surgeon Simulator 2, because I enjoyed the first game as much as you can enjoy a game where you're supposed to be terrible doing surgeries.
Yeah.
I was very frustrated when I got a review code for the first one years ago, and I had to walk away from it for like 3 days before I realized you're not meant to be good at it.
Yeah. It's
I didn't get the joke at first.
You know, sometimes a really good joke flies over everyone's heads. Do you remember that era of like the early 2010s where everything was blank simulator? Like we even got Goat Simulator, which is also available on Game Pass, I believe.
I have the platinum in it, if you believe that.
Oh wow! But that's you know what? You could get all of the achievements now that you're an Xbox guy as well.
I'm saving it actually, because apparently, I don't know if you're aware of these Microsoft rewards points. Have you partaked in Microsoft reward points?
I've dabbled a bit.
I'm on their subreddit pretty much daily right now.
Okay.
And about twice a year, they do for 10,000 reward points, 10,000 achievements.
Oh.
So I'm saving a few
games that you know you can do.
Yeah. So I know I can blast out. The one problem with the one issue with Goat Simulator, and was my quickest platinum until I played what's the can game where you tap on the can? iMayo.
Oh yeah.
So that became my quickest platinum, but I did it in less than 24 hours.
Okay.
Initially, but there is a trophy for Flappy Goat, where you have to play essentially Flappy Bird but with a goat.
Okay.
And you only have to get to number 9, like 9 or something, or 10.
Yeah.
But it's ridiculously hard. I've seen people walk away from the platinum, and that was their last one.
Of course.
I somehow managed to do it. So I'm not looking forward to doing Flappy Goat again. But I'll potentially try it. I'm also holding on to the LucasArts Adventure games and a few other games for that. But since I've started collecting the reward points, about what I get my Xbox 3 months ago, about
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, not that long.
not that long ago, I've accumulated almost $50 in points so far.
It's pretty good. What is your current achievement score?
Oh, I can pull that up.
What is your
Uh,
gamer score, if you will?
my gamer score. Yeah, that's weird to say.
It's so 2000s. Yeah, bro, what's your gamer score?
So where's the Xbox? Is Xbox not open on my computer? Huh. Give me 2 seconds here.
Is
Normally
your
it's just sitting
username
in
the
the
same?
background. Yeah.
Eh,
Well, numbers beside it. 5634, I think.
I see you. Am I following you yet? Am I not? No, I am not
I don't
following you
know.
yet. I am now. And you're
Okay,
going to be a
sweet.
favorite. You have
Ooh.
6,815.
How am I doing so far? As somebody who's had it for 3 months.
For 3 months, a lot faster than I did when I first got my 360. Um, yeah, because like if you think about it, the majority of games, with the exception of like Killer Instinct or the Master Chief Collection, which is really like the Master Chief Collection,
Multiple games.
especially is a collection of different games, each with 1,000 gamer score, right?
Hmm.
Essentially, it's like you've completed 6 whole games and 100% of them,
Oh, okay, that's
almost
not bad.
almost a full 7. So in 3 months, that's really good.
Yeah, a lot of those achievements are from Killer Instinct.
Yeah,
One of the Microsoft rewards things is you have to get an achievement every day and you get 50 points.
you've got you got 45 gamer score in Microsoft Solitaire Collection.
Yeah, that's out on Game Pass. I downloaded it.
Mm-hmm.
Minesweeper too, although it's on Game Pass. But
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if they give you score. Yeah, you get score from Minesweeper as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Solitaire was kind of fun when I was playing on my computer.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
the one thing is you can see what games have just quickly jumped in and out of very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's like you. It looks scrolling down this. It looks like you've like played a lot of things and just like, or maybe at least like downloaded them or something and whatnot. Like you played a little Burnout Paradise. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, for like 10 minutes, I feel
Yeah,
like.
you got like
Um,
3 achievements in that. Yeah.
so I
Hmm.
don't know, like, so I'm enjoying my Xbox. I've pre-ordered that new Forza Horizon 5 controller
Okay.
because it looks pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, honestly, I like it. Like, and we've discussed this before. I don't have a connection with Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone back to the Halo Master Chief Collection, and the initial games almost feel janky and hard to play.
Well, they're 20 years old at this point, right?
Yeah,
So
no, 100%. And I think the people who have that nostalgia and played them, I think it's easier to go back to.
yeah. So
Um,
yeah, I just quickly I have played through the main trilogy, in the last 3 months alone, and I've made more progress since then. But yeah, the first one for me at this point is hard to go back to, unless I'm gonna do that with like co-op or something
yeah.
like that, right? Just because of the way that it feels. Like it still feels good, it still feels right. It just doesn't feel modern anymore,
Mhm.
like it used to. But
Yeah, no, 100%. And like the controls definitely throw me off because everything like controls differently, it feels like.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well,
um,
yeah, and like you and I have had the conversation, and I've shat on your opinions of the driving in that game, and
oh, yes.
for like the driving in Halo is the driving in Halo, and it's for me because I grew up with it is something that I can always go back to and like yeah, I'm not using the triggers to drive, but I don't need to because this is Halo, this is different. And so yeah, there are some things like in my opinion the tank controls, because like maybe not in the first game, the first game is different enough, But as
Okay.
they figured it out more, um, to actually drive the Scorpion tank in the Halo games, it's a lot better do it to do that in those rather than in the first one. They tweaked it in such a way that it actually feels correct to push
If it's
forward and move forward and to turn your gut with the other stick and like yeah.
if it's any validation, I actually don't love um, the controls in Borderlands for driving either, and I know they're very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, okay. So let's talk about a game I've been playing. I think you've been playing it a bit too, right?
Splitgate?
Splitgate.
Yeah. I haven't played it in a little bit. Mitch and I were going to play a little bit last week, but he realized he didn't download it yet.
Okay.
Um,
No, that's a problem if you want to play it.
yeah, a bit of a problem. So then we played a little Halo ODST instead. A little firefight action in there. But yeah, Splitgate's really good. I've said my piece about it on this very podcast a couple weeks ago at this point. So I'm curious to hear what you think and like how it has it grabbed you?
So, in a matter of words, yes.
Okay.
Um, I'm playing it every day. I'm doing the daily challenges every day. I finished all the weekly challenges since I've started. I'm starting to work on the seasonal challenges now. Um, like I really love playing it. It's a lot of fun. It gets me excited. I bought the battle pass. I figured it was a free to play game, so I
Yeah.
spent money on the battle pass for him.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a really fun game, and if this is, I keep hearing this is Halo 3 with portals. Is like
Yes.
the closest analog.
That is, yeah. Actually is like the closest analog you can kind of compare it to. Which at some point you're going to have to play through the Halo series and learn for yourself kind of like the origins of Splitgate, but yeah, it's Halo 3 arguably is like the most revered looking back. Like
Okay.
everybody's got the nostalgia glasses for the original and even Halo 2 to an extent, but it was it was peak Halo was Halo 3
Okay.
and playing that online.
So yeah, no, I'm in and it's a good time. It's getting me excited. Like I'm not overly excited for the campaign of Infinite because
Uh-huh.
I just don't have an attachment to the story, but
Okay.
I'm more excited to jump into the multiplayer aspects
Got it.
of it right now. Um, just like I've been playing the team deathmatch a lot, but even some of the other team games like Shoddy Snipers, Oddball,
Hmm.
Domination, King of the Hill, like these are things which I would normally never touch, and I'm enjoying them with random people. Although sometimes with random people, it's really really terrible because they don't understand the objectives and what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's the hard
so,
part
but
for sure.
yeah, but I'm having a great time with it right now. So it's something which I guess until Halo comes out, I'll continue to invest some time in for now. At least it feels like, and you know how far down the well I fell with Fall Guys.
Yes. Yes.
It feels like Fall Guys to me. Like it's just
Okay.
like that.
It's that exciting to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, like even Fall Guys is something I got back into recently.
Hmm.
Before I went on vacation, I finished off their existing battle pass in the like their free battle pass or what do they call it? Fame path. I finished off their full fame path in
Okay.
the new season. So I put more time into this new season than I have any of the others
Uh-huh.
since the launch. Um, but yeah, no, it's a really Splitgate's a really good time. It's really underrated. It's free, which is awesome. They're adding people by the day, which is good. Uh, yeah, I'm excited. What I'm more excited about is seeing the proper Xbox Series X and PS5 versions hit.
Yeah. That would be that's ideal. Yeah.
So
Because those things are like long overdue in my opinion for Like, because Fall Guys came out what, last summer in August or September? It's just a year old now, right?
Yeah, so Fall Guys, it was a PS Plus game for August, I believe. So it just hit
Yeah.
over a year. Um, so well, yeah. So and sorry, I think we got confused about we crossed wires and what we were talking about there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I was talking about the Splitgate versions of for PS5 and Xbox Series
Okay,
X
okay,
because
okay,
right
okay.
now they're the PS4 version and the
And the
One X version.
yes, yes, that
So
is
they
true.
are apparently they were supposed to have those versions ready, but because of the massive player influx, they went from 500 concurrent players a week to like 50,000 to 200,000.
Woof. Yeah.
Um, so they've held off on these launching these new versions while they still get all their server stuff figured out. Because apparently, when people started talking about it, and I was probably a week or two late to the party on it.
Yeah.
Like you had to wait for a significant amount of time before you could get into the game.
Yeah,
It wasn't like it would just launch.
when I finally got into it, I didn't there were no waiting times at all. So,
Yeah,
and I came to it late as well, like a week or so later uh than that. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so they're holding off on that, but I'm excited about the future of Splitgate. And so just a segue off here, because I am surprised as you bring up Fall Guys that we haven't seen an Xbox Series X version yet or a Switch version, which were both announced months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were announced for the summer and then
Well,
they delayed them.
yeah.
And I don't understand the delay.
Mhm.
They've got crossplay working between PC and PlayStation already.
Yeah.
So, and like maybe the Switch version, I can understand a delay if they're having trouble getting the online to run on Switch or the game to run on Switch.
Yeah, I would imagine the Switch issue it would be like getting the game itself to run at a stable frame rate because there's a when it comes down to like shooters in general,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not the biggest frame rate snob or anything like that. Like I appreciate a nice smooth 60 or even higher frames per
Yep.
second. I can manage, I can deal with a 30 frame per second something or other, but uh there's like a last year or the year before or something like that. There's a Linus Tech Tips video where they got a bunch of professional gamers like Shroud and a few other people um, to compare monitors with different uh, refresh rates, along
Right.
with games with the highest possible frame rate you could get out of them, like Counter Strike or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they just through this testing with like your reaction time is heavily increased like on its own just from the higher refresh rate, because by the time you see something moving in 30 frames per second, right, it's
Yep.
already over here by the time you click, where the smoother the frame rate, the more accurate and precise you can be with a higher frame rate. And they were able to prove that, yeah, you know what, especially in competitive games, frame rate absolutely matters.
Yeah. No, I could see that 100%. So yeah, no, and I think that's been a big change for me this generation. Ever since we got the PS5s and the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, because I was never a frame rate snob either. That
Hmm.
was never something that I cared about. And I'll be honest now, going back to 30 frames per second games is harder
Yeah,
and playing them. Like
I believe it.
I dabbled in Final Fantasy 15 and I couldn't keep playing because of the frame rate. I bought Watch Dogs Legion and they didn't have 60 frames per second out of the gate on next gen.
Hmm.
They didn't launch that patch till June
Wow.
and the game came out in November. That's when they added 60 frames per second to the game.
Hmm. Wow.
And it made such a difference, but I never noticed it before. And now it's all I notice in older games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's almost like sick. I don't want to say it makes me sick, but like it's hard to look at.
Yeah. I get it. Totally get it.
Hmm. So, okay. So why don't we talk a bit about what we've been doing recently? AJ, you've got a fun story to tell.
Yeah. So if you're Canadian, there's a federal election going on right now. At the start, it seemed like a sure bet
Yep.
that like a good bet that Justin Trudeau was making, but as time goes on, it appears to have potentially been a bad idea. Um, I think everybody agrees it was probably unnecessary.
Hmm.
Although I do agree with the sentiment he made when he announced that this election was happening. Um, in that, you have people on one side of the aisle crying about tyranny in all of these with all these lockdowns and vaccine mandates and all that stuff, and like I I I agree with him here when he said, well, what do you do in the face of tyranny? If you think somebody is being tyrannical or acting tyrannically, you have an election and you
Yeah.
give them an opportunity to you give the people the opportunity to have their voices heard. Um, so I live in a small town called Bolton, Ontario, um, which is about an hour north of the city, and it's just north of Brampton. And Justin Trudeau was supposed to have a not a rally per se, but he was going to he you know have a talk with people out, like supporters and whatnot. It's just part of his campaign trail. He was stopping here. This is typically a very blue PC town,
Hmm.
um, which is unfortunate in my opinion. But it is what it is. So yeah, you go to those areas where you are hoping to swing some votes, right?
Yep.
Unfortunately, um, the idiots were out in full force. The
Mm.
anti-vaxxers, the fucking uh, just the absolute morons were there in full force, waving their "fuck Trudeau" flags, and uh, it was absolute disgrace to see my small town stoop to this level. But yeah, the event had to be canceled, and for safety reasons. Now they didn't quite say what those safety reasons were, at least at the time, but I can only imagine part of it was, well, there's a big crowd of anti-vaxxer, anti-masker people gathered together, so we probably didn't want it to be a nice super spreader event,
Yep.
even though it was outside. But also, he the some of those idiots started getting pushy and somewhat physical with the student volunteers who are just looking to get their community service hours done by volunteering for their local candidate. Um, and and like it just it was exciting to be there.
Hmm.
I wish that I had the opportunity to see the leader of our country for once in person, and being it a small town with potentially a small crowd, there could have been an opportunity where I could have asked him a question like, "Hey, in 2015, I was super excited about your platform and everything, and that was supposed to be the last one where Canada had first past the post voting. Um, how do how do we fix that going forward? Because this might not work out in your favor this time around. Keeping it around, you know,
Hmm.
something, anything that I could have thought of in the moment or something like that. But I didn't get the opportunity because there were a bunch of idiots out there who were more interested in disrupting the whole thing rather than uh, having a conversation about what their fears and their anxieties and were. They just decided to be jerks about it. So
Yeah. The whole thing is disappointing, and it really worries me. Obviously, south of the border, we've seen a breakdown in politics
Yes.
and how sides interact.
Yeah.
And I worry that we see that now integrating into Canadian politics as well.
Yeah, the garbage that happened down in the U.S. over the last 4 years has definitely spread across the border, and
Hmm.
it has empowered the absolute worst of the worst to come up through the woodwork and
Yep.
and feel like, I don't want to say and feel like their opinion matters, because yeah, everybody's opinion matters, but they are refusing to listen to reason. They are refusing to hear fact. Um, it's it's just incredibly disappointing to see people act that way. So
Yeah, no, 100%. And I used to think we were better than that.
yeah,
And we're not,
yeah,
apparently, which is
no,
disappointing. Now, the one bonus is, I want to use the term bonus very, very sporadically or lightly, is that it still seems to be a vocal minority.
yes,
It's a
and
vocal minority making themselves heard. And we know that from the numbers. Like
yeah,
if you look at vaccination rates in Canada right now versus the States, we were later to the punch in getting vaccinations going, and now we're exceeding them. Ontario, I think it's last time I looked, and this was a week or two ago, we were at 73% one shot. No, sorry, 80% at one shot, 73% at two shots.
good, good.
So the numbers are coming up. Like, I don't think we're going to get very far past 80. I think 1 in 5 people are still wearing the vaccine. We'll
Yeah,
see what happens with this vaccine passport that comes out,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
because that's going to put immediate pressure for them. Tyranny, tyranny.
You mean
Um,
you mean the Cineplex vaccine card? Huh?
oh, you should
Huh?
patent that. That's really
Huh?
good. It's really good.
Uh,
Um,
I'm pretty excited about that one.
yeah, and oh, I wish I had saved the tweet. If I knew we were going to talk about this, but I saw a tweet or as a comment today on Facebook, but it was essentially you have the right
Yeah.
to not be vaccinated, and that's your
Yeah.
choice. However, the things that you're complaining about are privileges, and you don't get those privileges. They are not rights.
Yeah.
Going to a restaurant to eat, going to a movie, going to a concert, those are not integral rights of yours. Those are privileges of yours.
Yes, absolutely.
And by making the vaccine and having that right to not take it, it's going to affect what privileges you do receive.
Mm-hmm.
And I
For
think it
sure.
was a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it's the the rights of the few don't outweigh the many. Um and it's like my my rights end where theirs begin, right?
Hmm.
They have a right to say no, I have a right to say yes to a vaccine. But it's something that, if and you see a lot of talk about whether you're scrolling on TikTok or whatever, you see people start trying to argue that, oh, it's none of your business if I'm vaccinated or not. Um, to me, it is kind of my business, because that
Yeah.
means you are more capable of spreading it to me at all. I have a very newly diagnosed autoimmune disease, sarcoidosis. So it is very important to me to stay away from those people as much as possible,
Yep.
so that I don't I don't have an issue up to and including death. You know,
Yeah.
so it's it's just stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's where it comes down to. And when we look at things like this, like, um, it's about courtesy for other people and protecting other people. And that's what we miss in this whole situation
Yeah,
is like, we don't like masks are going to continue after COVID's done.
I hope so. I hope so.
So they're not going to go away. And
It.
I've discussed this. I work in stores regularly. Um, Now, I do think the culture is going to change around it.
Mm-hmm.
When I visited Taiwan years ago, a few years ago, I asked my sister-in-law, like, we talked about why so many Asians were wearing masks there. And at the time, she explained it to me. It was a sign of courtesy. People wear them when they're not feeling well,
Yes.
so they can protect other people.
I saw the exact same thing in Japan, like on the subways and everything. Anybody
Yeah.
who might have the slightest sniffle, they're just putting on a mask because it's polite to
Yeah.
protect those around you and protect your community.
And I think our mindset for a long time was, and it's still this way to a point, but like my parents taught me, you don't call in sick. Unless you're like vomiting, you show up to work.
Oh yeah,
And that's kind of what was put into our heads.
yeah.
Um,
There are so many days where I went to school not feeling 100%, but I had two choices. Well, one is go to school, right? And I could
Yeah.
only stay home if I was puking. And if I stayed home, well, you should be resting, not playing video games. So it's
Yeah.
like, no, thank you. I'll just go to school then.
So, and it's one of those things we need to really relook at and how we're dealing with. And at the same time, figure out how workplaces and um like the government treats sick days, because we're not set up for that at the moment. Or we're
Yeah.
not set up for that type of process. We had record low sick calls and sick and flu cases and that sort of thing because people were wearing masks. We put stores have paid money to put barriers in place to protect their staff. They are focusing on sanitization of their hands.
Yes.
Sick days have gone down because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things when we're not feeling well going forward. Number one, almost everybody has reusable masks at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we're just going to throw these reusable masks away.
Yeah.
They're still going to be in our wheelhouse available to wear. But if you're not feeling sick, if you're not feeling well, put the mask on and go out and do your stuff.
Yeah.
Just protect if you want to go out and you need to work, protect other people at the same time. And it's not going to be this weird thing. Oh, that guy's wearing a mask. No, and we need to destigmatize that.
Yeah. Ultimately, there's no reason not to.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, that's too bad about your thing with Trudeau. I like Justin Trudeau a lot. I think he's been a good prime minister, not without follies or
not without fault,
issues,
right? And like I'm very realistic about that. I'm not blinded by that, and like I've mentioned in our Discord, discord.gg/press YYZ, when we were having conversations about it, that I'm likely to go NDP this year. Just because, I was so inspired by Justin Trudeau, and I do feel a little let down about some of the things that haven't come to fruition. And then this very obvious kind of political ploy, a high risk, high reward ploy to try and get a majority that is probably now going to cost him the not his seat, but being prime minister, but also potentially give voice and give credibility to the absolute morons that I ran into last Friday. So yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. And this is always one of those things too, where it's very hard to figure out how to vote in these type of situations because you don't want to put the wrong people in power.
Yeah.
Like And it's one of those things like, so here's the deal. I'm probably going to vote NDP as well this year.
What does your riding usually go?
So it goes NDP.
It goes
My
NDP?
area's gone NDP for like 20 years. The woman
Okay.
who was the Irene Matheson, she, up until the last election cycle, was the MP for like, I want to say close to 20 years.
Okay.
She was well respected. I met her a few times. Really good member. And she retired, and then her daughter took over.
So okay.
Lindsay Matheson, and she got elected in last year.
Okay. Good.
So, yeah. So, um, yeah. Anyway, so I think that's like, regardless of how I vote, it's gonna go NDP. But I'm probably likely to vote NDP. I actually like Jagmeet Singh quite a bit.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with him being prime minister. But this is a problem with Canadian politics, really, in general, and it's the fact that we've got 2 left parties and 1 right party.
Yeah. The hardest part is we split that vote, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. There are more parties, but they don't typically hold enough seats to really sway any sort of influence.
No, like the Green Party picks up 1 seat. The PPC party, which nobody should vote for,
got 0 seats.
Yeah, 0 seats last time. I'm hoping 0 seats this time.
Yeah.
So sorry, we do have other parties, but really, if you're not familiar with Canadian politics, we have 3 parties, 2 left-leaning ones and 1 right-leaning one.
Yeah.
And well, the majority of Canada, if you look at the votes, we're probably 60 or 70% like on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Because we split those left votes,
yeah,
it can make an issue in terms of who's getting into power. I really would like to see a prominent, like, third party or a fourth party come out on the right.
Yeah, and so like, if you think about it, wow, this is going to be a very political episode. Wow, this is fun actually. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I enjoy talking politics.
Yeah, so okay, if you think about it, you've got the Liberal Party, who is a more centrist-leaning party, right? They are more left than the Conservative Party, which that makes sense.
Yep.
And then you have the NDP, who is further to the left, right? So the Liberal Party, being the minority, with the added help of the NDP, can pull things left almost no problem, right?
Yep.
If it's a minority government with the Conservatives, they're going to lowball everything so that the 2 other opposing Liberal parties sort of have to attempt to... They have to work extra hard to try and pull things even closer to the center of whatever. It just makes it that much more difficult to have good progress, right? If you remember under Harper, he had policies where scientists were barred from speaking.
Yeah.
And it is policies and things like that have, unfortunately, because there was a time where I wanted to give everybody a fair shake and try and like be open-minded of different parties and stuff like that. But it's like, things like that are why I choose to vote with my ABCs anything but conservative. Because it just, yes, I align politically, but like, in my experience, any conservative leadership has been in such bad faith for lower income and the majority of people in who make up the population, that it's just sort of makes it hard to even want to listen to them, because then you have their vocal minority coming out in full force and being complete and total degenerates. So
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of, I think I follow a very similar path. Like, my dad voted Liberal, and so I just thought, oh, I should vote Liberal, until I started understanding more about politics. I want to say about 10 years ago, and starting to understand more. I had a boss who was a conservative, and he believed in conservative fiscal values. Not necessarily, he does not believe in a lot of the other values that we've seen crop up over the past few years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
fiscally, he believed in small government.
Sure.
Um, and that's where he would vote. We actually happened to once be at a small a small hole in the wall in Kitchener, a family run business that's been there forever called Country Boy. And my boss goes, look behind you. And Stephen Harper's behind the counter doing a publicity tour,
Wow.
like serving drinks, coffee to people.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then that's when I started to like really engage in Canadian politics and understand more about where I sit and where I feel. And kind of like started to realize I'm probably more on the NDP side than I am the Liberal, even
Mm-hmm.
though like I
Did
voted for a Liberal.
did
But
you
I
do
wanted
that?
to open
Did you
Oh,
do
sorry,
that
go
vote
ahead.
compass?
Yes, I did the vote compass. I was kind of in between NDP and Liberal.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
almost right in the middle. Um but I'm very like if I was in the States, I'd be considered one of the Democrat progressives,
Yeah.
and like in how I feel and what should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I wanted to I wanted to have those conversations with conservatives
Yeah.
to understand like their values and have those conversations. And having those conversations has gotten harder and harder and harder in the past few years. And I think there's extremism on both sides.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
there's no question about that. Um, I don't know. I'll just bring him up. I know he's a dirty word. When I used to listen to podcasts Beyond back in the day,
Yeah.
I was really interested in hearing Colin's take on things
Yeah.
because I didn't hear a mainstream conservative voice ever.
Yeah.
Uh, and
And
I
you
didn't.
were doing the responsible thing in wanting to be informed of all possible angles, which is
Yeah,
fair.
and it was understanding what the other side wants helps you understand about how to proceed and how to move forward.
Yeah.
And Colin had a pretty good, like, he always had interesting takes. And I go, you know what? I could see it from that side. Now,
Yeah.
lines were crossed and certain things have
Yeah.
happened since then.
Since
There's
then,
no,
that yeah.
like, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt for a long time. And I'm well past that at this point. I wish I could be. I think he could have an important voice in the industry, but he chose to not.
Yeah. He chose to literally fall into the dark side as opposed to, actually like consider some sort of reason or whatnot. But like, yeah, with Colin, like, I understand the having to separate part ways because of the shitty joke that he made
Yeah.
during his time at Kind of Funny and whatnot.
But
And
even if he had apologized and
something.
said, you know what, that wasn't right of me, but
Yeah.
he had this stance, no, and I think this is where my biggest breaking point, and I was not pro on his side for a while, but it was like, I kind of get it, but then as time has gone on, I'm like, you know what, I don't get it. You should just apologize. You upset people. You
Yeah.
don't want to upset people. Um, like it's not okay. And he's screamed victim ever since then. And
Yeah.
he's kind of cried into this, unfortunately, fallen into this narrative as well that people talk about. And I would like to see and I think the gaming industry, I would like to see more conservatives come out and have opinions, but not
Hmm.
like shitty ones about race and talk,
Yeah.
talk, talk about government, talk about like policies.
Hmm. Something. Yeah. So when he first separated from Kind of Funny and created Colin's Last Stand, he was doing like very
Political stuff.
thoughtful like history videos and political videos and stuff, and very well thought out, well researched, right? And so a lot of
Yeah.
those early ones, like it you wouldn't think, like based on the stuff that we've seen since, you wouldn't think that he is somebody who actually believed that, the Confederate flag should be taken down, and like those Confederate monuments and stuff should be taken down. Like, people were into destroying them at the time, and he was of the thing that they should probably be put in a museum or something, because while it is like there are a lot of shitty parts of history, like our history here in Canada specifically,
Oh
right?
yeah.
But also in the States, you know, rather than destroy it, it should be part of history. Now, you can still put the destroyed monument and put the story around it in a museum,
Yep.
but there's it's he's definitely fallen further and further into the darkness, unfortunately.
Well, and I think it's one of those things where he needs to feed his base. Like
Yeah.
you're right about those politics videos. I thought they were interesting. I didn't watch everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but the ones I saw were like you talked about, well researched, well thought out. He's a history major. Like that's his background. He understands that stuff, and I think that's why I appreciated his opinion on like from a conservative point of view back in the early days because he was well versed in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, his base isn't looking for that, and that's why he stopped doing those videos.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't performing, and he wasn't getting what he needed out of it to continue operating. He started to fall back into games, and like he does, I think it's the most successful Patreon campaign out there right now, or Patreon out there.
I think so, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because everybody's started to hide how much money they get and how many viewer or how many like subscribers they have.
Yeah.
So which I honestly is probably a good call. But like he has talked about how he's like number one in terms of that, but he's got a specific loyal fan base that needs to hear the things and needs to see the things he's doing to continue to keep him where he is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
So he needs to feed them to be able to continue doing what he's doing.
Yeah, he's created a monster that helps him financially, and he has to he needs to keep it alive so that he can keep going. And
yeah,
I get that, but have some fucking morals. Like
yeah. So anyways, I guess I don't even know how we segued over to this. I was just talking about how like I appreciated his opinions and hearing them, and that's kind of where I started to open up my eyes and try to listen to other people. But at the end of the day, it's very hard to have conversations with the people on the right now.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. It's no, you go ahead. I do a lot of interrupting.
No, don't worry about it. Sorry. You get a lot of it's my freedoms.
Yeah.
And they default back to the same talking point over and over and over again, even when you watch political interviews. Did you see sorry, I'm talking too many politics. Sidney Powell, the lawyer for Trump, who said that it was Hugo Chavez and Dominion and Smartmatic.
I think I may miss this one.
Okay, so she's been pretty prominently in the press because she had press conferences saying that this was Hugo Chavez's fault, like a plan from Hugo Chavez, and they own Dominion and Smartmatic voting machines, and the fix has been in for a long time. Anyway, she's being sued by Dominion for a huge sum of money. She's likely being disbarred, and like there's been no substantial interviews with her that have led to any substance unless it's like on the most alt-right of alt-right news stations in the States. Yeah. Okay. Like nobody can get anywhere with her. Even Fox has trouble and had like Tucker Carlson was like, no, we can't have her on. She can't prove anything.
Yeah.
So,
well, to be fair, nobody who goes on Tucker Carlson ever really proves anything unless they're disproving anything Tucker Carlson says. So,
and that's completely fair, but for him to say a guest can't come on because that is unusual.
Yeah, that's pretty rare. That's
so. But she was interviewed, and it shows the difference between like, and I've seen this before too. She was interviewed by an Australian news channel.
Okay.
And they took her to the fire with questions, and they weren't letting go from it. To a point where she's like, do you work for Smartmatic? As they're asking about like the claim she made that she couldn't substantiate, didn't know the facts about.
Okay.
Even though she made these like huge claims.
Uh-huh.
And then started to like, so was like defaulting on like, do you work for these people? And then tried to walk out of the interview.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because
Because it got a little bit difficult to spew your bullshit, so now you got to run away.
yeah, she couldn't answer the questions because a reporter was asking good, solid questions and follow-up questions
Yeah.
to the questions, and she didn't have answers.
And I feel
Um,
I feel like that's like the one thing that actually keeps me out of getting in. Never say never. Getting into politics proper, like myself, is
yep.
like I don't think I could. I could handle being asked those questions, but I get incredibly frustrated when it's just like when I have to answer. Like, listen, I don't have an answer for you right now. We will get to it at some point or something, right? And we're the badgering that the press can do to try and get to the story and get to the answers is kind of ridiculous. Did you see the other clip from the States recently, where there's a Fox News reporter asking about the situation in Afghanistan and stuff like that,
Oh,
and like
Brian Ducey's son, Peter
yeah,
Ducey.
and Biden was just like,
Yeah.
you do understand that like this was the former administration's plan all along, and I even still like I postponed it to try and get more time and blah blah blah. And it's just like he kept like doubling down and not listening to the answer and just like no, I'm asking you a question now. It's like, do you under and Biden just had to like put his hands in his head and just like fucking just you could tell he was just thinking this guy is a fucking more like what the fuck.
Yeah,
And
Peter
like
Ducey's not great.
yeah. And then the yeah, and then everybody on the right starts tweeting things like, "Oh, this is what weakness looks like," with like a picture of Biden. It's just like because he doesn't want to put up with your bullshit. That's weakness. Fuck off.
Yeah, and that's the continual problem. And like I said, we're seeing it seep into Canadian politics. Even with that, you saw the Trudeau ad that the Conservatives put out from the Charlie and the
Um,
Chocolate Factory.
yeah, that's so petty. So and it got pulled down as well,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and you know what that made me think of? Number one, it was like right when the election was announced or about to be announced.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in their heads, they thought, we've got something good here. This is
Yeah,
going to go viral. This is going to be on TikTok.
yeah,
Like, this is what the kids want to see. And
yeah.
it looked
Hello,
like,
fellow kids, and then it just backfired.
yeah, everybody hated it. Even the Conservatives hated it.
Yeah,
Like other premiers were like, no, this is a bad ad. I don't know what they were thinking.
yeah.
And it looked like something that Matt Trey, or no,
Matt Parker,
Matt
Trey
Stone,
Stone.
yeah, Trey Stone, Matt Parker would have done, like with Justin Trudeau talking with the head over the thing. Like it
Yeah,
was just so bad. And I think they're like, oh, this is cool. We're going to get some kids. Hello, as you said, hello, fellow kids. And it just didn't work at all.
yeah. It just, stupid.
So,
So stupid.
um, well, that's the politics corner.
Yeah, that was a good 45 minutes of that.
I apologize if you're not into politics.
Yeah, thanks to the one viewer for sticking around.
Yeah. I do enjoy talking politics. I think it's an interesting thing. And I think we can maybe talk more about this as we get further into the election or after the election. Like it's what, 3 weeks away from us right now?
Yeah, the 21st is election day.
Yeah. So, 3 weeks exactly today then.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, we'll see what happens once all the votes are counted, and hopefully every legal vote gets counted.
What? What? Not again. Oh god.
Oh, I hope that doesn't permeate into it.
Oh,
But
it's gonna.
anyways, so as you can tell, AJ and I are very passionate about that. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed that talk actually. So no,
Mhm.
that was fun. I do want to talk about what I've been doing. So about 2 weeks ago, I took a
Yeah.
break from the show and from streaming for a week. I was in a good mental health space. Still not
Mhm.
ready to completely talk about that.
Sure.
But I just want to tell people out there, when you're having mental health struggles, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to talk
Mhm.
to people. It's okay to ask for help. Um, I think we've all been here, and I think it's something we've tried as a show and as um, co-hosts to really be um, compassionate about and understanding when people are having those struggles, because they do happen. You
Mhm.
can be a rock as much as you think you should be, but like everybody has those struggles, and it's okay to say, you know what, I need to take a break. I need to step away
Yeah,
and come back.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, so, but then after that, so we'll move on from there. I was in a really bad place for like a 3 or 4 day period. I went up to my parents' cottage and spent a week up in New Liskeard.
I've never heard of that place. I'm going to Google it. Tell me about
It's
it.
about 2 hours north of North Bay. They actually, so New Liskeard is technically Temiskaming Shores. It's a group of small cities, Cobalt, Hallaberry, um, and New Liskeard.
Oh wow,
My parents have a,
that's a fuck it. That's past Sudbury. That's a
it's a, yeah, it's, I don't, it's probably about the same distance as Sudbury from my house. Like it's an 8 hour drive to get there
that's
when
a
you factor
that's
in
a
lunches and breaks.
that's a trek. Holy shit.
So,
Okay.
my mom's had a cottage. So, not had a cottage. My mom, since she was a little girl, there was a place called the Old Mission, and her parents would rent a cottage and they would go fishing there regularly. And that was just their spot. And so, for years, my parents would take us to the Old Mission. We'd rent cottages there and we'd, for the week, and we'd stay there and they'd go fishing. It got to a point where they love fishing and I learned to hate fishing because of how much they made me go fishing and my sisters go fishing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things when you force people to do it, you have no like want to do it.
Of course.
Which is why like when I go now, I'm like, nah, I'm not really interested in doing that at all. But my son loves it, so I do go out occasionally. My wife likes it too, but it's because they haven't been forced into per diem at like stupid early in the morning to go on boats in like terrible weather and
Yeah. Yeah.
things. Anyways, long story short, my parents actually ended up getting a trailer there a few years ago
Okay.
instead of renting the cottage. So they put a trailer up on there. It was a real pretty rinky-dink trailer to begin with, and they bought a nicer one, and they built some like decks around it, and then it burnt down.
Oh wow.
They had
Okay.
a fire and everything just went up. So they got a new trailer. They put it up there, but unfortunately, the property they were staying at was sold to a new woman and husband, and they're kind of crazy. Oh, wait, am I allowed to say that? No, I'll say it anyways. They're kind of crazy. And so it led to them leaving there and accidentally um, finding this cottage for sale that hadn't even been listed yet, but the
Okay.
couple were selling it. And my parents basically got to buy it before it was put up on the market.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's all right.
and they bought it last year. It's a new property, like not new property, but it's new to them. So they've got a lot of stuff they're working on. They put a bunkhouse in there, so that's where me and my family stayed. Because they only have like they've got a spare bedroom in the cottage, but it's not enough for like 5 people. So they put a bunkie in. They've been doing a lot of projects internally. But we went out there to spend some time, my wife, my sons, and me. And yeah, we had a good time. I just relaxed. I read some comic books on the tablet. Um, in fact, I read the entire run of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye, which is supposed to be the basis for the new Disney Plus show.
Okay.
So it's one of the like revered epic, like when you hear Hawkeye and what you need to read, everybody says Matt Fraction's Hawkeye. And it was like, I haven't read much Marvel. I'm going to read this. And it was interesting. So, but what it turned out was that my mom wanted my help doing things around the cottage and projects as it's a new property to them.
Sure. Sure.
So she's like, "Oh, Nathan's strong and fit now. He he can help us with things." So we got to help with a few projects around. One of them I almost lost a finger twice on.
Okay. Tell me about
It,
tell me about that.
this was so it's not as advanced as the other stuff, but basically it's a cottage. They have a wood burning fireplace inside the cottage, as well as they have a campfire outside. So they need to cut wood.
Okay.
And they actually had a company come through and cut a lot of their dead trees and stuff off, or like parts of trees that had died, trees that were dying, and basically took them right down. So they spent I want to say almost like 8 hours throughout the day getting these pieces out of the arborists, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
arborists to come in and cull the dead trees. So what happened when it was done? We were left with a lot of wood that needed to be split
Okay.
and turned into smaller pieces of wood so that it could be burnt
Mm-hmm.
in said fire. Now, thankfully, I didn't have to use an axe. My parents actually have a hydraulic wood splitter.
Okay.
And essentially, you put the piece of wood in it,
And it just
and it has just a giant, like,
yeah.
blade, but it's really slow. It's not fast.
Oh, okay.
But because
Probably
it's
for the
high
best.
pressure, yeah, I think it'd be worse. But
Yeah.
because it's high pressure, basically this like metal, it's not even like a super sharp blade. Maybe it's sharper than I think it is. Just continues to press into the wood until it splits.
Okay.
And then you slide the wood around to get into like little pieces as it continues to like go into the splitter.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, as we were splitting the wood with this hydraulic press, my finger got caught between the metal and one of the logs. And I couldn't get it out till they had pulled it back.
Oh.
Um, Thankfully, I did not lose my finger. It is still sore after a week. I still feel pain in the finger right now.
Yikes.
And it was so bad. My mom, who both my parents are nurses,
Mm-hmm.
thought she was going to have to apparently heat up a paper clip or like a pin and burn a hole in the nail to let blood out because she thought it was going to be bleeding internally behind the nail.
Oh.
And was going to need need an out for the blood to like funnel out of. Thankfully, we
Yeah.
didn't get to that point.
Okay. That's good.
Um, but yeah, so that was part of her. And then I somehow managed to catch my finger again in a different way, even though I was doing what I was supposed to be doing after that.
The same finger?
No, a different finger.
Okay.
On this hand, not as bad, and I don't feel any pain in it anymore.
Yeah.
But this one, now it's better today, but I still feel a little bit of pain,
Yeah.
like in the whole thing, like especially up in the joints.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so yeah, they also decided that we were going to build a rock garden around. They built these like little rock gardens around, like just basically like rocks as a wall around the garden.
Okay.
And they've got all these little plots on the land where there's like a tree and then dirt around them. It turns out that those were rock gardens at some point because as we started to dig through all of them,
Mm-hmm.
at some point many, many years ago,
A previous
people
owner.
had previous owners had rock gardens that were there and just stuff built up and around them over time and nobody took care of them.
Uh-huh.
So we had to take these rock gardens apart and then rebuild one of them back together.
Wow.
Lifting these massive rocks. We actually went and got a few from the perimeters around the property and from the one I don't want to say downside of the cottage is that it doesn't have like a sandy beach.
Mm-hmm.
It's all rocks.
Yeah.
On the shore. So, but we basically got these rocks out and like moved them all around. We didn't finish the job completely. My dad got to a point where he was like, you know what? You guys are doing too much. You've hurt yourself twice pretty badly.
Chill.
Yeah, chill. And I wanted you guys to come up and chill. I don't want you guys to come up and doing work. My mom had different ideas. So
as is tradition, I'm sure.
Yes. So, but it was a pretty good time up at the cottage. I did do some astrophotography while I was up there.
Ooh, that's fun.
Using the Google Pixel.
Yep. That's sorry. Fun fact, not so fun fact. So I've got the Pixel 5, right, which is the one after yours. Yours is the 4XL.
Yeah.
I had a nightmare. My use of the Pixel 4 XL was a nightmare. It kept breaking in my pocket. But
yeah, I remember you had
I didn't realize that when I got the Pixel 5, they had removed the astrophotography functionality.
Really?
just on like a software basis, they removed it. Like they could
Huh.
theoretically patch it back in, but I when I tried to do it, I looked it up and it's just like, wait a minute, this why isn't this working? I thought this was a feature, and it's just in the Pixel 5 it doesn't work anymore. So maybe in the Pixel 6 it'll work now, but
That's too bad.
yeah, it was a really good feature. It was like the one good thing, the one cool thing about the Pixel 4 that I appreciated. So
That's too bad. I really enjoyed. So I took a lot of astrophotography pictures while I was there last year. My wife actually bought me a tripod this year so I could do it better
okay,
and get some better shots. Because last
yeah,
year I fashioned a tripod out of 3 sticks and a bungee cord
yeah,
to
good
try and
job.
make one.
Yeah.
So I had an actual tripod to use and was able to get some really cool sights. Unfortunately, this year I was not able to get photos like I was able to get last year. I got some okay photos
Yeah.
with like the trees and because there's no light out there and like, but I couldn't. The first night the full moon was out, and I think like you could see everywhere. The
Mm-hmm.
moon was so bright, and I think that affected seeing the stars and getting the stars in the photos.
Yeah.
And then we had a bunch of cloudy nights. Uh, so I was never able to get great photos out of it. They actually added something cool now with the Pixels astrophotography as well, where they are doing a time lapse
Okay.
over a second. So you get it's. I don't know why it's only 1 second. Why I can't do this as like just a permanent time lapse type video because I did a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of those last year at the cottage as well for sunrise and such.
Yeah.
Um, but during the like 3 or 4 minutes it takes to make an astrophotography photo,
Mm-hmm.
it then created this 1 second time lapse of it all in 1 second,
Okay.
where you can kind of see the
Of where
stars
you can
moving
see
through the
it's
skies.
moving. Yeah, that's cool.
Like but it's only a minute or a
Yeah.
second. I was
Wow,
like,
that's
why
weird.
can't I because imagine being able to record a version of that and run it for 2 hours
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
seeing everything move through the sky. Like how
Yeah.
cool that would be. Um, but yeah, I was like, yeah, it's just limited to like the 1 second for now.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so I don't know. I always have a budding. I take a lot of photos while I'm at the cottage, and I've got a budding photography. I'll never become like a professional photographer, but I like taking good photos, and I tend to have an eye for it. So, that's my
That's good.
favorite thing to do, and especially taking photos of the stars at night because it's just so good to do out there.
Taking pictures of stars is just really, really cool in general.
Yeah, and it's pretty much not possible with most phones.
Mm-hmm.
Like you try and take a picture of the sky and nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
either nothing or everything's blown out because the moon is too bright.
yeah. So, so yeah, no, so we had a good time at the cottage. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I didn't lose my finger. I didn't get eaten by bears. My mom made me not run, um, out on the trails because she saw a youngling bear, which means there was a mama bear around.
Yeah,
Well, they don't eat meat. If you see a young bear, it means as the mama bear could attack you.
yeah, that's that's scary.
So I
Arguably
ran on a
scarier than
treadmill.
almost losing your finger. So,
Yep, yep, that's worse. I did take the family up for a hike. We did have a few fun things. We went to a path called Devil's Rock Trail,
okay.
and it basically goes down 800 feet below sea level, then up 800 feet above sea level.
Oh, hmm,
It's
that's
like a
weird.
kilometer and a half. Essentially, you end up at the top of this giant cliff called Devil's Rock.
Okay.
And you can I took a nice big panoramic view of it, and it doesn't really well represent exactly what I saw when I was there. I posted it to Twitter if you want to take a peek at it, but it was an amazing sight. There was an issue with the motor on my dad's boat, and he didn't want to take it too far, but I would have loved to get a picture from the other side looking up at the rock to be like, I took this from here.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at I just googled Devil's Rock there, and I'm looking at it, and that's a that's a cliff.
Yeah. So
That's wow.
I was actually kind of worried at the edge because my kids kept wanting to get closer to look over the edge, and there's
Yeah.
no. At some point, you can tell there was a fence, but it's been stripped back, and they haven't
Oh
fixed it.
yeah. That's
Um,
wow.
so, and the path walking up is completely rocks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I thought maybe I could run it. No, it's like there's certain points where you're just walking on rocks over rocks over rocks.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's a woof. The it seems like a really neat place. Was the
yeah.
water what color was the water when you were there? A lot of these pictures are showing like brown water.
So the water can be brown and greenish.
Okay.
There's algae that can wash up at the especially around the shores.
Yeah.
When you get further out, I think the water is a little more blue. It's not like a bright blue lake though. It's like the water is
Yeah.
brown because it's pulling out. It's not a like it's. I guess it is a deeper lake. You can get to parts of the lake which are like several hundred feet.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of shallow places in the lake too, and all that sediment from the bottom kicks up, which makes the brown water.
Yeah. Mm.
So, but yeah, we had a good time. It was fun. It was nice to be there. It'll be nice to be there next year again. The 8-hour drive is a little far for me, but it's doable in a day.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
but yeah, that was my cottage trip, and what I've been doing for the past week, and now I'm back at work. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still struggling with my physical health issues.
mhm.
I had an eye exam today. Apparently, apparently sarcoidosis can affect the eyes and cause some sort of swelling or whatnot. So
Okay,
it was recommended that I go get an eye exam. I've still got 20/20 vision
okay,
with
that's good.
with the uh, it's an optional prescription for um, night vision.
Reading, night
And
vision. Okay,
when the optometrist tested the lenses, just at what that prescription would be, it was such a minuscule increase in sharpness detail for nighttime that it's just like I could go to the store and just get like a cheap thing to keep in my glove box in my car if I wanted, but like
gotcha.
having driven at night recently, even like I don't notice the
An issue.
an issue at all yet, other than
Mhm.
sometimes I've got a slight astigmatism in one eye that I can see some haloing and some stars around like the streetlights, but they don't get in the way of anything. So, but
Yeah. Actually, I just had my eyes checked on the Friday before I left for the cottage.
okay,
Because it's been I want to say almost 3 years since I've had my eyes checked.
yeah,
And I think I told you, but I was diagnosed with pre-diabetes a few years ago.
yeah,
Um, and that's what it can affect your eyes.
mm-hmm.
And I had just recently been through an eye exam when I was diagnosed. So I was like, I just had an eye exam. So they're like, okay, it's probably fine. But I thought maybe I should go check it out. My prescription's almost the same and it's very, very light. Like I've
Yeah,
got one of the lightest prescriptions. If you put my glasses on,
yeah,
you'd be able to see.
okay,
It kind of sharpens everything up a little bit.
okay,
But like it's changed so minorly that my dentist, my optometrist,
yeah,
was like, honestly, just get a new pair of glasses if you've got the budget through your health plan. Don't, and then you can continue to wear your old ones.
yeah,
Like,
cool.
yeah. So,
And actually so I the optometrist that I saw today, um uh, so I look I would just I want to get to know my doctors a little bit, especially while I'm
yep,
going through everything.
that's completely fair.
So I looked her up, and uh she apparently does her own podcast
Oh, wow.
about optometry. And she gets together with a handful of other optometrists colleagues, and they'll talk about medicinal advances and other issues, but as it pertains to optometry. It's called the Four Eyes podcast or something like that.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it. So yeah, it's. Am I gonna listen to it? Not necessarily, but I
Yeah.
subscribe to it because like, oh, that's cool. Like an optometrist who does a very specific kind of podcast, and she's clearly doing it for fun, and it clearly seems to be something that you scroll back in all the old episodes, something she started at the beginning of the pandemic. So, not too dissimilar
Yeah.
to us.
No, hey, that's cool. Like podcasts are a unique way to listen to things. Like my dad still subscribes to Sirius Radio
Yeah.
up north because their Wi-Fi, they get like 100 gigs and it comes down at 15 megabits per second at a max,
Woof.
split between everybody. They can't wait for Starlink to show up.
Yeah.
Um, but so he can't stream or do anything, so he still has to focus on Sirius
Yeah.
Radio. But it was like, honestly, like a lot of the stuff you can get from streaming music and like streaming sites and podcast services, like it's podcasts are replacing talk radio,
Yeah.
and I think for the better.
That's exactly what podcasts are, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah. All right. Well, AJ,
yeah.
I don't think we got a lot else to say. I think we've talked a lot.
Yeah, I mean, my background here, I played through Halo Reach, but we can talk about that later. Maybe when Cozy
I'm sorry about that.
does his own. No. When Cozy does his own playthrough, it's Halo Reach is still a very good Halo game. And
Is that a more recent game?
yes, it came out in 2010.
2010. Okay.
Yeah, it's in some cases some people hold it in high regard, and in other cases I think it goes a little underrated in a lot of aspects. Just the things it did differently compared to the trilogy prior to it. It's super cool. But yeah, and kind of sad because you go into it knowing kind of that it's going to end badly, and you are playing through the story of how that happened. So
yeah, and I think we've discussed this, but it's the first Halo chronologically, right?
In terms of the games, yes. I think there's like a Halo Wars or something in there that comes before that, and like the Spartan Assault, like twin stick shooter games. But like if we're talking mainline first person shooter Halo games, yes, it's the one chronologically. It takes place like so Star Wars Rogue One. You know how that leads right into A New Hope?
Yes.
It is that story for Halo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll discuss that once Cozy gets through.
Or if Alex comes back and needs to talk about some Halo some more before Infinite comes out. So
yeah, like you said, I'm excited to get into Infinite multiplayer, and maybe here's the thing, and actually, this is a question I don't know your answer to.
Okay.
How do you feel about co-op being delayed, and would you rather see the entire campaign be delayed versus or just like co-op? Because I know a lot of people said they play this with other people, and that's been their experience with the campaign and playing it in co-op.
For me, Halo has always been a solo experience in terms of the campaign. And it's only, especially the first playthrough, it's only afterwards where I want a challenge and I want to do it on Legendary or something like that, that I want to bring a friend with me and try and play it that way.
Gotcha.
So for me, especially after Halo 5, I just want to see what happens next, right?
Yep.
Halo 5, it didn't necessarily have a cliffhanger, but it left some things open that I really want closure on and some information on.
Okay.
For me personally, and if that means you got to sacrifice co-op for it, I am okay with that, because we're still going to get at the same time the competitive multiplayer.
Yep.
Right? Regardless of whether or not Forge is in that, we're still going to get that. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's end the show for the day. Yeah, we're at an hour and a half, actually. I did not expect that between the two of us. I think I said this would be a shorter affair, and I was a big liar to all of
Yeah,
y'all.
you're a
Um,
dirty, stupid liar. That's you.
Yep, we got in few great conversations, though I really enjoyed our talk about politics, and maybe we can have that discussion a bit down the line. And you know what? I'm just going to put this out there. If we've got somebody who's got conservative values and they'd like to come on and have a conversation too, I'd love for that down the line.
Yeah, you
So,
can. Yeah, you can do that episode. That's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, thanks for tuning in to Press YYZ. If you enjoyed the broadcast, be sure to follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube, and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. You can also check us out on Twitter at Press YYZ and slide into our Discords at invite.gg/PressYYZ to keep the conversation going. Until then, thanks for playing, guys.